covering the main slate for Saturday, January 23rd. It's our second stream of the year. We did our NHL preview, which is looking quite nice right now. But right now, we're going to get you ready for the 4-game slate for Saturday, January 23rd. And we're also going to talk about cash game strategy, some of the things that we've noticed that are happening this year, strategies that have worked for us, joined, as always, by a big goodie, Sean Goodwin, at Big Number 55. And, of course, the Hook Monster, Joshua Hook. I am Doug Shane at Bankster 17. We are representing Bankster DFS and banksterdfs.com. $3.99 a week gets you access to everything, like literally everything we do. And we do so much for under $4 a week. Articles, player pools, the best Slack chat in the business. I'm telling you, that's where the money is right there. And you can see on the left-hand side of the page all the sports we cover. Right now, we are deep into NHL season. Our NBA team is doing ridiculously good work keeping up with all the news. It's like they're playing with G League players, and they're keeping up. We got the playoffs, the conference championships for NFL. We are less than 3 months away from MLB season. Finishing up basketball for college right now, and then NASCAR season's about to start. PGA is in full swing. MMA is crazy right now with a ton of slates. Tate Wagner's got us going for that. Brandon's still covering EuroLeague. Jeff Kaminsky's going to come back with some soccer. And then Brandon's covering tennis, too. Brandon Matthews got tennis. And, of course, the three of us are doing hockey. We do some baseball and all that for $4 total, not $4 per sport. And speaking of Jeff Kaminsky, I brought his name up. Big congratulations to Jeff Kaminsky, the current reigning, defending, undisputed 2018 FSWA Soccer Writer of the Year, has been nominated once again for 2019. And he added a nomination for the FSWA 2019 Racing Writer of the Year. So a big shout out to Jeff Kaminsky. So that would make it on staff right now 7. We've got 7 FSWA nominations on staff. And, we've got a couple of wins, and hopefully we'll pull 2 more wins today. And that's fantastic. So big congratulations to Jeff and the rest of the team. We're heading out towards this next year, 2021, and we're going to crush it. And, Sean told me in the chat, it's the 2020 FSWA Soccer Writer of the Year and Racing Writer of the Year. I'm just going to pretend 2020 didn't happen. We're just going to call it 2019. 2020 was a show in and of itself. We are in 2021. So, that's math teacher. Math teacher doesn't know what we're doing. And you can get access to Jeff's work, all of our nominated work, and future nominated work, banksterdfs.com/subscribe, banksterdfs.com/subscribe. And of course, you can hit me up on Twitter at Bankster17 if you have any questions. Okay, enough with the promo work. Gentlemen, it's hockey time. I'm tired of talking promos. We are deep into the season. Bankster DFS has been crushing it with our cash games, our GPs, green screens every single night. We are on one of the hottest streaks we've been on, and I think it's because we've shifted our focus to cash. We've really zeroed in on those GPPs and that constant conversation in our Slack chat. And we're gonna have some time to really dig into the games for this weekend. Only 4 games on Saturday, which is awesome. First one, Montreal, Vancouver. It's their 3rd game in 4 nights. Gentlemen, take it away. What do we think about this game?
Yeah, if you guys have been watching these games, it's just I don't know, utter chaos. I don't know what else to say about it. It's like 6-5 was shoulda in the first game, 7-3 last night for Montreal. Penalties. The penalties are galore. I can't it was starting to piss me off. The referees were almost ruining the game, calling everything. Vancouver's giving up shorthanded goals like it's their job. Oh my God, head spinning, just head spinning. It's just, I don't know. Look, just chaos.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. There was I think in the first 30 minutes last night, 4 even strength minutes. It was awful. It was unbearable hockey to watch. I was watching it and I saw Vancouver is awful defensively. Just number 1 rule right now, until they proven otherwise, which I don't think they can. You stack a line against them. I don't care. I prefer the power play. The power play onslaught will work every night. They're killing only about 65% of their penalties so far. That was going into last night, and I actually think they improved it because I think they had 6 or 7 is what Montreal ended up with. When I watched the game last night, and I kept thinking of Mighty Ducks 3 when the defensive philosophy was pick up the trash, and they threw all the trash in front of the net because leaving all these soft passes right over the crease. And Montreal was just cleaning it up. They were just scoring constantly. It was awful hockey. Vancouver's defense is garbage. Real trouble this year, and I mean we're going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, Edler and Hamonic being out obviously was just crippling for them. I mean, especially on the penalty kill. Like Edler's their guy, right? Like he's out in the penalty kill. So if he's out for an extended period, we're all like we're right back on board with Montreal tomorrow for sure. I mean, can Toffoli stop scoring against them? I mean, I don't know. Like that's five goals in 2 games. Like, so I mean, it'll be interesting tomorrow to see what his ownership is like, right? Like, is everybody going to chase the 5 goals and everybody going to load up? Like, is everybody because him and Suzuki, I mean, they're doing whatever they want at this point.
Speaking of Suzuki and speaking of Suzuki and Toffoli, as of yesterday when the game was playing, their prices hadn't really gone up much. Suzuki, I think, is one of the more underpriced guys in hockey right now. Prices aren't released as of recording right now. I'm constantly refreshing DraftKings, hopefully that we can get some pricing before the end of our show today. Do you think DraftKings respond to that and price Toffoli up? I mean, if I'm not mistaken, he was 3,900 yesterday. Do you think he's going to get up to 5K based on the 5 goals over the 2 games, or do you think he's going to end up being one of the better value plays on the slate again? And what kind of price, because we don't have those prices yet, what price point do you say I've got to fade him at this point?
If he's going to be up over 5, if he's like 55 and up, I'll probably pull the fade. But I mean, if he's going to be 4K, mid to 4K, 4.5, you got to basically sort of almost just lock him in and just be differentiate somewhere else, right? Especially like in cash. You can play him in cash, 60% own, who cares, whatever, move on, right? Like we always say, right? Like lock the guy in on cash and get weird elsewhere. I hope that he's so now the flip side of that, if he is priced up, maybe that'll lower his ownership. Like it all depends on DK overreacts in their pricing big time. We've seen it. I mean, either they're way too like they're min price guys, right? Like Dadnoff and some of these other guys, or they're
I mean, you look at Ottawa; they haven't priced their guys up at all, and Ottawa's not the most explosive team. Their top line should not be priced under 4K each, and they've been under 4K every game, so they are able to react sometimes. But I'm not so sure 5 goals is going to keep them off. Again, I keep refreshing DraftKings; they don't have the pricing up quite yet. Outside of Toffoli, who else are we looking forward to on the Montreal side of this game heading into tomorrow's game?
For me, I've played Suzuki every slate personally since it started because I love the kid. I mean, we talked about him in our live stream, our preview live stream and stuff. I mean, until they start getting priced up amongst the big boys, I don't know how we don't ride them at this point. Like Suzuki's just on fire. I have no interest to know. Kotkaniemi is interesting. He's actually played pretty well. I mean, you could get weird there because I imagine his price will be around the same. I think he was 3,800. I think Cook was 3,800, 3,900. I want to say on
Kotkaniemi, he was 3,200 yesterday. He was in the pool. Just gonna throw it out there. He was in the pool yesterday.
Yeah. Great pool, by the way. It's a fantastic pool.
Thank you, sir. Everybody was there too. Foley was there too.
Yeah, I mean, I could see. I'd go to Kotkaniemi if Suzuki and Toffoli are going to be priced up. I mean, I think he might be a great leverage pivot from them. I mean, obviously, the game environment's fantastic for points, and that's not. I don't expect a 2-1 game tomorrow. I expect another 5-4, 6-5 game tomorrow, right?
Now, Hook, you're a leverage guy. Is Gallagher a guy that, with all the talk, the way Toffoli's playing, and Suzuki's getting a little bit of love from people more in the know and who understand he's been priced lower than he should be, is Gallagher a guy that we can look at, or one of the defenders a guy that we can look at for some leverage in this game?
Funny how, like Sean said, he plays Suzuki every slate. I have had Gallagher in every single cash slate Montreal's been on this season. If you're going to give me the top 4, like he shoots about. It comes out to like 15 per 60, so it averages out to about like 4 a game. Like if you're going to put me right on the bonus before you score a goal and you're under 6K for the shot bonus, like, dude, I'm in. Like, that's easy. That's a lock button for me. I don't care. Like, last night he had 1 shot, weird game, don't care. That's just the variance of hockey because that'll happen sometimes. But if you're going to give me 10 at like 5,500, sign me up with the upside for each shot's a goal, and it's independent of the other players on the team. Like a shot is something you do. Whereas like if I'm assist hunting, I need someone to pass it to me, and there's just other variables that are involved. So if I just start out with a high floor guy like Gallagher, who's going to be lesser owned, I get it. He's on the second power play, which kind of sucks. But I mean, man, 5 shots a game, like you're going to turn it down for 5K, 5,500? I'm not. Like, let's do it. And I play Gallagher all the time. So I'm not going to like, I get Toffoli's been hot, and I think Toffoli has a lot of talent. I think like he's a very streaky player though. Like, I mean, that was kind of his problem with the Kings too. Like he'd go in stretches where he was just like, dude, this dude's a stud. And then you don't hear from him for a month. And then his price gets back down and it's time to jump on him. But yeah, dude, I love Gallagher tomorrow. On the defense side, Romanov's starting to, like, his ownership really hasn't gotten as high as I have expected it to yet, especially at that price, man. But all three of those defenders are in play. I mean, I think Vancouver is going to have to really score a lot of goals to try and win games, like, because I just don't think they're capable defensively right now.
If I remember correctly, yesterday in that game, Petrie was at 62, and Weber was at 6K. Like, you jump on Shea Weber if he's cheaper at that point, right? I mean, I understand that, but like Shea Weber's the better player, right?
Yeah, I just think, especially the defense position, I think there's a little more luck when it comes to the goal. Like they'll both shoot. Like if everyone's going to be on Petrie, I'm just going to take Weber, like, or whoever's cheaper. I don't care. Like especially if they're on the same line, I think they're going to just take what's available to them. They're both veterans. I mean, if they're giving Petrie the shot, Petrie's going to shoot that night. If it's the other way, it's Weber's shot. So I mean, I'm just going to take the cheaper one of the two, or go to Romanov, who's cheaper than both of them.
Montreal's power play, especially last year, was its entire strategy was back to Weber for a shot, one timer from Weber. Like that was their strategy, and their power play was like the worst in the league, right? So they've sort of adjusted a little bit this year, which is good. So I mean, basically, Petrie and Weber for me, it's a price game, basically, right? If one of them is $500-$600 cheaper than the other, I'll just usually go with that guy.
Yeah,
because $500 or $600 we can use somewhere else, right?
And Montreal's kind of like a lot like Carolina in like just their sabermetrics, like with Corsi's and whatnot. Like they're a high volume shot team. Like they throw the puck. Like they don't have the most skilled shooters. Like Tampa Bay has more slow build up in their game. Montreal just fires it. They don't care. And now they have more better players. Like I think Montreal's like it's probably going to come down to Montreal, Toronto. I think in the Great North Division. Sean, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, Winnipeg's defense, Winnipeg will go as far as Hellek carries them, right? But Montreal and Toronto will be there. Edmonton has nothing outside of McDavid, and they won't have enough scoring. Vancouver has a scoring, but their defense and their goaltending, same as Winnipeg. Calgary, I like Calgary a lot. I think Calgary will be there. Markstrom has been exactly what they needed. Solid goalie. Yeah. That was huge for them. I'm telling you right now, Ottawa sneaking into the playoffs, man. I don't know. It's crazy. This is some crazy shit. Like I'm telling you, I could see Ottawa sneaking in there and bumping like Edmonton or Winnipeg or somebody, and everybody, up and be in shock, right? Like, who knows?
I mean, it's sometimes young and dumb, like Ottawa is. Like they don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're
supposed to be in the playoffs. Exactly, 100%.
Yeah, they're aggressive. They're an aggressive offense for sure. But we'll talk about Ottawa in a little bit. I believe they're on the slate as well. But how do we feel about Vancouver in this game? We talked a lot about the Habs. How do we feel about the Canucks? Is this the game that the Canucks do? Like I know they played the first game of the series and then it kind of got blown out. And that second period was crazy for Montreal yesterday. Is Pettersson going to do anything at any point? We saw Besser starting to play a little bit better. JT Miller is doing okay. Bo Horvat's been great. Is Pettersson? Is it his time? Is he going to get his act together? What's going on with Vancouver? Do we like any Vancouver in this game?
Oh, I love lots of Pettersson. I have no explanation. I have no idea. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know what's going on there with the kid. Like he's just been like we used him a ton. Like I used him a ton last year. Like
we used Vancouver late night every night.
Oh my god! Like he was a lock and load. Pettersson, Besser, Edler. Pettersson, Besser, Hughes. Right? Like lock and load. Nobody's on him. Fire up the leaderboard. As you know, I can't play Pettersson at this point. Like I will have 0 Pettersson tomorrow. I can't. If he pops for 3 goals tomorrow, that's fine. I'll get burned by it because I just can't. Like I watched that game, these 2 games. He's nothing. Like I don't know. Like he's nothing. I don't like.
See, I was completely on their side of that. If DraftKings reacts to his lack of production and they get him low enough, and again, we're still waiting on the pricing, but if he was at what, like 64, 63, I think yesterday. If he starts looking at that 55 range, 56, it's
Pricing
going to be hard not to fire him out. The kid's good. I mean, he can play hockey. He can put up points. These games have been back and forth. Isn't that a chance to go and stack that line? And I wouldn't put him in cash or anything, but isn't there some GPP leverage? What do you think, Hook? You're my leverage guy. What do you think on that end, Hook?
Like on a 4-game slate, I'll play a lot of Vancouver because we got a couple things going for us. One, like Sean and I were talking about in chat last night, and I don't know why anybody on the East Coast is afraid to play a West Coast game, man. Like, you know your goalie by 10, just do it. It's okay. But as long as people aren't playing West Coast teams, I'm going to play the teams that play late, and I'm just going to keep doing it. Like, it's not going to change. I'm going to look for one every night. Vancouver still can score some. Like, they'll be at home. I mean, on a 4-game slate, like, I'm not sold Montreal's a great defensive team. Carey Price is very good, but I mean, what if he's under 6? Like, and you get they correlate really well. Like, if you get 2 goals, like, you're good. You might be good on a night like tomorrow night. Like, I have no qualms going to Vancouver tomorrow. Do I think they get smoked? Probably.
Prices are posted. My bad news is my computer's slow, so we're loading up the prices, and we won't have to speak hypotheticals in about 30 seconds. We can pull up some prices and actually talk about some value on this game. So I'm glad that we're able to do that.
There you go.
We're gonna do this a little bit. We're gonna do this a little bit differently now. We're not gonna be showing that. We're gonna be coming here. So this is the joy of live streaming, but we can pull this off.
6K.
What's that?
Pedersen is 6K. Horvat is now $6,500.
Yeah, Horvat. He shoots the most of them all.
He's 57.
6K feels pretty good for Pedersen.
I like it. I had him hitting that next level this year where he was going to be like Jack Eichel price, like 75. I think 6 feels cheap.
That's what I'm saying. Like this, I'm not trying to be obstinate here. Like, I get where Sean's coming from. Like, you don't want to get burned, and I surely won't touch him in cash no matter how great that value is. But for a guy with his talent, it's possible that it could be
Travis Green shredded him. I guarantee you they got bag skated today. Like, I guarantee you they probably didn't touch a puck for an hour in practice, and they got bag skated in hockey. Like, if they don't come out tomorrow flying, there's gonna be butts in this. They're gonna be up in the press box, or there's gonna be some shit going on in Vancouver. Like, they gotta come out tomorrow just flying.
Oh, I think the coach is on the hot seat. Like, I think he's real close. Like, and I think they liked it. We were very on to Vancouver this season. Like, we thought, okay, this is the team take the next. Or I was, at least. Like, I think the coach is on the hot seat. They might need a change of scenery real quick if they don't change.
So as I'm looking at these prices now, I see that Toffoli is at 5,100. That's right on that border, right? That's right on that edge of cash game play. I mean, for me, he's a great GPP one-off. I liked him a lot better at 3,900 as a GPP one-off. I just think he's been too hot not to use him. I think at 5,100, his price is going to be kind of through the roof. But I kind of like that price on Gallagher at 5,800. Miller too at 57. I think Miller should be in the 6K range. So 5,700 is a pretty good price. Anything stand out on the pricing, Fez? I'm just pulling up some stats here on Gallagher just to see where we're kind of at. I mean, look at the shot totals.
It's
been good.
I mean, last game, they were up so far. I don't think sometimes the hockey people realize when a team's just done, like I think of the Colorado St. Louis game the other day, like when Colorado won 8-0. Once they got 4-0, man, St. Louis wasn't trying. It's kind of like a baseball game when they just get ugly and they bring in the backup, like the 8th pitcher, and just go, man, you're giving us all you got today, man. We just need you to go a few innings. Like, those games just get gross. And I think Vancouver was what?
Yeah, I can get out of hand. It's a landslide, right? And that's what happened in that Vancouver. I mean, once the floodgates opened, it was like Vancouver couldn't just push it back. They couldn't do it. Like, it was almost embarrassing. I can't believe Travis Green. I mean, did I miss? Maybe I missed it. Did he call a timeout?
No, they were saying after it was 6-2 in the second, like, he's going to call a timeout soon. No, he didn't call one.
How do we feel about Tyler Myers here at 4,400 with Edler out and Hamonic out? I mean, you've got Hughes and Myers, right? I mean, those are your guys, and he's getting tons of ice time. and he's just, I mean, 8 block shots last game, which is, we know is an anomaly, but he had 4 a couple games back. He's got an assist in a couple. He's got points in 3 straight games. Is this a guy? He's up high. I mean, he was in the low 3Ks in the mid 4Ks. Is he still playable?
He was so bad last night. Oh, was he bad? Oh.
Yeah, but he's not good. But if you're giving me 25 minutes of ice time, 23 minutes of ice time, like I'm in. Like I'm gonna try why not to play you, and they're gonna face a ton of shots. So if they come out with everything.
Yeah, him and Hughes will see 25 plus again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like the logic with Bronick tonight. He's gonna be on the first line.
I'm assuming is Edler. I'm assuming Hamonic is definitely out for a while. And Edler's trending, so Edler might be back. See, that'll be key.
Okay.
If Edler comes back, yeah.
And again, just to bring up the point I brought before, Petry 65, Weber 61. I mean, I don't know. I know Petry's had a better start to the season, but at that price point, I just think there's something to be said for a little bit of Shea Weber. Sure. All right, we've talked a lot about this game, and if we want to stick to our hour timeline, I'm going to move us on to the next game. Take a look here, Philly and Boston. Interesting series coming up here. Philly's been kind of hot this year. 3 goals, 4 or 5 games. Boston, 3 goals or less in 3 or 4 games. And Philadelphia has the second best power play in hockey. I mean, you can read. I know I read that to y'all. I'll pull up the prices as you guys talk about this game. Where are we feeling the Boston game? And I know it's the first we're looking at so to talk about value, probably important to see those numbers.
What do we got?
I'll start off with the Boston side because I kind of went pretty deep in them the other day, and I previewed them before the season. So, I think Bergeron and even Marchand to a level are cash viable, which I never think when Pasternak's healthy. Because when Pasternak's healthy, that whole team's offense is geared to getting him the puck and him shooting and scoring. Now they both have to take on more role because Pasternak's not coming back till next month. The second line player who's really stepped up, I like Nick Ritchie a ton. I haven't seen his price yet. He should be super cheap tomorrow too. But he gets power play 1 time, and he had a goal and assist in his last game. And I had him. I almost had him in cash. It was him or Dobson. Yeah, that's cheap. Take him. That's a good play at 3,300. I mean, his shots for 60 was 11 or 12 with him. So it's been great this year. Bergeron and Marchand have a lot of shot equity right now. Philadelphia is a weird team because they were so bad on the road last season. And, they showed up the other night. Rask normally doesn't give up that many goals. I didn't get to watch it, so I don't know if they were good or bad goals. But I kind of think this game probably plays slow. I don't really have much GPP interest, just more – I think it's a low-scoring affair. It's kind of the gross game on the slate.
That's saying a lot when the LA Kings are on the slate, by the way.
Well, they give up goals.
That's saying a lot.
They can give up goals.
They do. Their offense has been decent too, LA. When we get to that slide, we'll talk about that.
We will.
Yeah, I mean, Richie's been at 10 or more DK points in 3 or 4 games. That for that price point, that's pretty ridiculous at 3,300. Wow. That's a cash game value. Who's writing up the slate tomorrow? Is it Sean or is it a Hook?
I think it's Troy actually.
I think I got tomorrow. Troy's got Sunday, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's so. Might we see Richie, Nick Ritchie in your in the cash pool? Might he be a core play? Might he be one of our 3 stars of the game?
No.
What?
He might make the pool. I can't. Yeah, no. He might make his way to the pool, but I can't. No. I get it. I mean, I don't like this.
I'll be shocked at $3,300 if he's out in the pool.
I could see. I mean, you look at the guy. He's shooting. Right. He's on the second line of the Krejci, and because until Pasta comes back, and I mean, $3,300. It's kind of hard to, we were saying in chat, you give me a cheap power play 1 winger at $3,500, and I'm going to play him all day. Like Jeff Skinner was in the player pool today because he's been shooting a ton, and he's $3,500, and even though he's in the 4th line, he plays in power play 1, right? So, power play 2, those guys always find their.
It's interesting you bring up Skinner because a guy in a really similar position is JVR. Not shooting maybe quite as much. I mean, he's had a couple of decent games this year. He's got the power play time. He's got the 5 points on the season, and for him, they've come in kind of bunches, but he's got those at least 2 shots per game. Is he a guy we're looking at? And if not him, for value, of course, but if not him, who do you like in this game? Where are you sort of into hooks where this is a game that you're probably not going to find too much love for?
See, for me, the problem for Philadelphia is Couturier is out. When Couturier is in, they're a different team. Because when Couturier is in, everybody basically backs up, right? So Hayes is playing the first line right now. He's not a first line. He's a second or third line.
He's been good, though. He's been playing well this year.
I like right now, like the third line of Patrick, Lindblom, and Konechny, right? Like that kind of interests me. JVR at $3,600 in the second line. Yeah, that intrigues me too. The problem is, of the 4 games on the slate, this is probably going to be the lowest scoring game, right? Like this is going to be a sort of a playoff almost kind of back and forth, right?
And don't you think it might be a highly owned game with 2 fairly public teams for more casual players, right? Philly and Boston are far more casual teams that they're big markets. They're teams that will appeal to the casual player. And we found, and we'll talk about this later, that earlier games are getting more ownership. And so doesn't that all kind of add up to, if it's going to be a low scoring game, I see where that could bring you to this fade on this game.
Guys, people will load up on the 7 o'clock Saturday night game because they're going to go sit down and watch a movie with the wife. Seriously. They're going to be like, okay, these guys are in the lineup. I won't be around for the 10 o'clock game to see if there's any changes. Let me load these guys up here, which is perfect. Because then we can jump on the Now, this is not your typical Saturday night slate. Usually Saturday nights are 9, 10, 11 games. Obviously, this season's a different bird, right, with the scheduling stuff. So, I mean, it's slightly different. So you might, it'll be a little more condensed. Like Montreal, Vancouver, I think obviously is going to be on big time. LA and St. Louis, that could be an ugly game as well. We'll get to that obviously, but it'll be interesting to see the ownership tomorrow, actually, how it all plays out for sure. I don't know how much I'll be on Boston or anyone from Philadelphia. We'll see. Other than maybe in a cash pool, but GPP, I played Bergeron and Marchand and Grzelcyk the last game there, and Grzelcyk got hurt, of course. And Bergeron and Marchand were okay, but without Pasta drives that line. Pasta's the difference maker on that line. When he's back, then Boston will take off. But without him there, they're sort of stalled offensively, and it was part of it. Like Hook said, Philadelphia's for whatever reason just as bad on the road, right? You get him at home and they're lights out. Carter Hart at home, like he's lights out. You get him on the road and he'll give up 3 or 4 goals, and it's like, what, dude? What are you doing?
Yeah,
I'm going to throw a little curveball at you, which we didn't prepare for, and you have not looked enough at the slate to really be able to answer. Throwing it at you anyway. Of the higher end defenders, and you can kind of see all the defenders that are 5,000 or more on the slate. To me, there's really no stud standout, Roman Josi kind of guy on the slate. There's no Brent Burns. Is it possible that Provorov is the best cash option of the higher end defenders, or is Doughty a guy that's a little bit better for that? If you want that anchor, we love having that anchor. When we talk about our cash strategy, we're going to talk about our defensive anchors, but is Provorov that guy looking again? And I won't hold you to it. Obviously, you still got time to research and write that article for tomorrow. But like, if with the first look, like just that first look at this, is Provorov that guy of the top 12 most expensive defenders, or is it a Weber, a Doughty, a Shabbat, a Hughes? These are up mid to upper echelon guys, but these aren't, to me, the studliest of defenders.
No. Tomorrow actually almost looks like a slate where I might go cheaper on D and cash. Because there's no obvious, like $6,300 for Dewey. I can't. He's actually played pretty good. Actually, he's had a pretty good start to his season. He's actually kind of turned back the clock a little bit.
He has been good.
And LA actually is actually looking pretty good too, which is shocking. But I guess we shouldn't be shocked by anything in the world these days, right? I can't pay $6,300, I don't think, for Dewey. Provorov at $5,400, who does everything. I love those defensemen who, they work on the power play, but they block the shots, right? Like you get, Quinn Hughes is not going to block a shot. Quinn Hughes will do everything he can to get out of the way of a shot. Provorov, right? Provorov is, what has he got? 5.
He had 5 in back-to-back games. I mean, he's a Sabs guy. I mean, look at that. He has 2 games of 3 shots, and he has 2 games of 5 blocks, and he gets the power play time. And I mean, he was on the ice for 30 minutes yesterday. He's an absolute beast, and I think 5,400, while it's up from where he was, it's not up from his top point. And with the relative lack of Studley, he might be that rock guy for tomorrow, perhaps.
And core 3-star core play. Oh yeah. There's a good chance Provrov's going to be one of the 3 stars tomorrow, guaranteed.
Excellent. Any other names we're missing from this, or are we ready to move on to LA St. Louis?
Yeah, I'm ready.
No, we're ready. We're ready to talk. We're ready to talk some Kings and Blues. Interesting stuff here. When I was, prepping the slides for today's show, Kings have scored 3 goals in 3 or 4 games, and the Blues, who are not known for their high-level offense, though we've played them a bit this year and done okay. Aside from the one game where they got completely blown out, they haven't scored on the power play yet this year, and they're one of the worst teams on the penalty kill this year. So their special teams have been pretty awful. But they haven't played since Wednesday, so maybe they've got their act together a little bit. I actually like this game quite a bit on a 4-game slate. I think LA may go overlooked just because of their right. Like, I would rather use LA than Boston on the slate for a GPP at least. Where do you guys feel about this? Let's start with Hook this time. We'll let Hook go with this game first.
This is interesting. I agree. I haven't seen St. Louis's pricing yet. LA is another team that we talked about. Philadelphia being bad on the road. LA is actually pretty good at home. They don't have the killer, like the shooters to they play a lot of close games at home. They just really don't have the talent yet to win those games. They're young. They have some youth. On the road, though, if I was going to play LA, I'd probably take the Carter line. Carter's been very good. St. Louis is cheap. I mean, they're a big. You need correlation with them because they don't. Again, you don't really know where the offense is coming from. They feel like when they score 4 or 5 goals, 3 lines score them. It never feels like there's just one line that's going to do all the work to me. I don't know. It's what it feels like to me. They're really hurting on the power play not having Peter Angelo. That's such a huge loss. Krug is not the same type of player. The Boston power play wasn't the power play wasn't ran through Krug. It was ran, let's get the shot to Pasta. Whereas Peter Angelo took the shots on the St. Louis power play. They're really missing him right now. And last year they were number 1 power play percentage. Like you said, they haven't scored yet. I don't think they're this bad on the power play, but I don't think that's changing anytime soon.
Shouldn't Perioko been playing? Shouldn't he be playing the top line power play? Isn't he more dynamic offensively than Torrey Krug?
He has a way bigger shot. I like his shot better. Krug.
I was a little surprised they didn't have him on there. I was a little surprised when the lines came out at the beginning of the year that he wasn't at their top line. He's just to me a more dynamic player.
Well, it's Tuesday I wrote up Krug in my core and oh, Justin Falk and Perioko, the better shots are the ones doing it today. Great. Of course, this is what happens. But yes, Perioko should be their power play 1 set defense or D-man, without a doubt, in my opinion.
So Krug is getting. So they brought Krug in to replace Pietrangelo, right? So that's what's going. So they had no training camp, right? You can see these teams that the training camp matters. I don't care what anybody says. Those training camp, having an actual training camp, having some exhibition games, it matters for these teams, right? You can play, scrimmage games and blue versus white games. You need those games, especially for new guys. What I think on what's going to happen, and I agree with Doug, is what I think might happen is eventually you're going to see that flip. I think Parayko is going to end up playing on the PP1, and they're going to flip out Krug. Because he's a free agent signing, they're trying to make it work. They're trying to give him trying to get accustomed, give him a shot. Krug's a great offensive player, but I think Parayko is at some point going to replace Krug on that if they don't turn it around. Right?
I find St. Louis one of the most boring teams in the NHL. Are you a Blues fan, by the way, Hook? I can't remember if you're a Blues fan.
No. Whenever I drive through St. Louis, I have my middle finger up extended the whole time.
Okay.
I hate the town.
I just find St. Louis to be. I just find it to be one of the more boring teams in the NHL. Does that mean I won't take a look at if Sanford is going to continue to play on the top line? Yeah, he's worthwhile, and we know David Perron can score. He hasn't. There are there are pockets of okayness with St. Louis, but I've never found them to be like this source of fantasy goodness. And you know what? Draft is adapting. If you look at the prices, LA is just across the board priced up more, and that's reflective of how they've both teams have played this year. I guess that means that St. Louis could be one of those underowned stacks, especially because there is enough talent. You put them you stack them with Winnipeg or Montreal, or even if you want to go super crazy, you stack them with Boston if you think that game might pop a little bit. But like, I'd much rather.
So here's how
with the price. I'd rather like LA on this game.
Here's how it is for St. Louis. St. Louis is built to win championships. They're a playoff team. They're tough. They play rugged hockey. It's not a fantasy goodness team, right? The Leafs are just a fantasy gold mine. But they're not and if you've noticed, they haven't won a playoff round in a long time, because when the playoffs roll around and it's tough and the refs let them go, it changes up. So St. Louis is not sexy, right? So nobody plays them. But that being said, right, we also get that, like, when you get Shen at $4,800 and I get Schwartz at $5K, right? You get Krug at $5,600. You get Parayko $4,200. Vince Dunn is $3K. Like, Vince Dunn can run that power play, right? Jordan Kyrou is still $3,300, right? The pricing never goes up. It just, whatever the algorithm is, like, it's set for DK. It's like the Blues are a playoff team. They're not for good. So the prices stay low, but we can use that. Like, I used Shen and Schwartz and Pretcher like together last year a ton, and made a lot of money on them because nobody touched them. And I'm like, no problem. I'll play and then and then you fill out your stack with a McKinnon, McCarr, or a Hughes Pedersen, or your combo stacks, and you just fly up the leaderboard because people don't play them.
I'll sit there. I'll crap on St. Louis all you want, but I had Shen in my lineup the other day, and I had that's why I had Shen.
And
the chat box is really funny. And I looked over and then I saw Hook look at the chat box and he reacted, and it was just it was funny. And I totally lost my train of thought. I played Shen in cash this year. I thought, and he played well. Sure. I've considered Kyrou in cash this year, and he's played well. So I'm with you on that. Like, I guess when I think, I'm not using him in a GPP. Like, not using them as a main GPP. I might use them on a, as a, I don't know, a contrarian type stack, but I'm not going out of my way to use them.
For me, St. Louis is like a secondary. So they're not a first main stack in. They'll be like a complementary second combo kind of thing, right? Like a Shen Schwartz combo, because the pricing works and will fit with your, Matthews, Marner, Riley, as an example, or your Besser, Pedersen, Hughes, right? Like, they're a nice little combo. It fits nicely in there. It's not sexy, but then you look at the end of the night and they got you 20, 25 points, and you're like, perfect. That's all I need. And we move on.
Speaking of perfect, just not that anyone who's going to watch this after that's not watching this live, but Fox with the goal for the Rangers. So good call there, Sean. I believe he was part of the write-up today.
I'm telling you right now, Fox. He crushed for us last game when he was in my cash. I had him 100%. That kid is if all you hear about is Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, Adam Fox is right there with those guys, but you hear about it, right?
Rangers put up another goal. Capo Caco just put up a goal. Rangers are putting it on Pittsburgh 3-1 in the second period now, which makes me happy because I noticed in one of the head-to-heads I'm playing, the guy is using Yard goal, and I'm like, I don't know why. Penguins are awful on the back line, which we'll get to later. By the way, that's one of our things that we've noticed.
We've been screaming
it on here.
Attack Pittsburgh, right? Attack Pittsburgh. That's what we're gonna do. Attack Pittsburgh all season long.
Speaking of attacking, look at this. That's called a professional transition right there. We're looking at the third game of the Sens Jets series, the Jets that we actually don't mind talking about. Shout out Gouda. This series has been really interesting. 12 goals in the two games. Winnipeg is Ottawa with the 8 goals to 4 goals. But the Sens have been a team that we're looking at because their prices were down, and we'll check the prices in a minute. But I mean, you got Norris and Batherson combined for 19 shots on goal in games. I love Nikita Zaitsev, 9 sabs in the 2 games. And then, over on Winnipeg, Winnipeg one is just, they were underpriced. I'm not sure where they're at. Let's pull them up. We've had Scheifele yesterday in the cash pool, and he played real well. And this is a late game, so they could be a team to take a look at. Let's see if where that price. Well, you guys talk about the game. I'll play with the pricing.
Yeah, I mean, this could be your pivot from the Montreal Vancouver game, right? It's the 10 o'clock start.
Yeah.
If everyone loads up in Montreal Vancouver, and with Winnipeg, one is priced up big time, right? Like I don't know how much did they jump? What do we got? Scheifele's at 72. Scheifele was at he was at 69. So they're not priced up that. So they bumped them a little bit, but nothing nuts. Yeah, I mean, game stack it up, right? Game stack, run your Winnipeg and use some Ottawa value there. I mean, we saw last game. I mean, Ottawa, I think, is obviously going to be a boom or bust team, right? Like, there's going to be games where they bust big time, and there's going to be games where people aren't on them, and they're going to boom. Like you said, they're an aggressive offense. Like Hook said, they're too dumb to know they're not supposed to be competing. They're supposed to miss the playoffs and lose 45 of the 56 games and get a high draft pick. But they brought in Matt Murray. They got talent. I mean, what do we got Dadonov? How low is Ottawa, right? Like Dadonov is still $3,100.
Norris up at 44, Batherson at 42, Dadonov at 31, and then the kid who I couldn't pronounce his name, Steitzel. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Stutzel.
Tim Stutzel. If Stutzel's back on the ice, he was practicing today. If he's back on the ice, they still got him down at $3,200. So there's some love to be had still. I mean, I still think 44 and 42 for that line is just too cheap. The defenders. Again, I'm a Zaitsev guy. I've always been a Zaitsev guy. So 4,500, he's up a little bit on that. Shabbat is finally priced where he belongs at $6K. I don't think he's a screaming value, but this there's still a lot to love with Ottawa. And they're just not going to have ownership. Ottawa's not going to have ownership. Winnipeg probably won't have much ownership. That's just it. Maybe because it's a 4-game slate, they'll be up in the 20. Maybe when they should be 30-40%. This is the pivot game, right? Hook, you again back to Hook for the leverage. This is the pivot game off Montreal Vancouver, right? This is where we're going to get those goals from.
Yeah, I agree. Like, so think about Hellebuck. He's going to be he won the Vezina last year. I mean, he's good, but I mean, he's never a person I've ever counted on to be reliable. And then, so like goalies, the difference between being a good goalie and bad is like the difference. Like, do you give up 2 goals or 3 goals? So, like one extra through, man. Like that's an extra 20 points to your stack. And at Ottawa's prices, that's easy. Chabot hasn't played well in these 2 games really, which is just kind of shocking to me. I don't know if maybe Winnipeg's good at defending the D line or not. I'm not 100% sure or want to make a ruling on that. If I'm going to get chalky or get contrarian with Winnipeg, I like going with Ehlers. His shot rate without Line A in the lineup's insane. I talk about shots a lot, but I'm a guaranteed point sucker, because shots give me points. If they go away, they give you a lot of points, and that's kind of just how I build. And then, because like naturally Wheeler and Scheffler will be always the chalk. If you're want to get really thin, like the Lowry line's okay. I don't really like to go to the depth lines though for scoring. But Ehlers, yeah, he's another good 3-4 plus shot guy. Last game, I don't even know if they changed it, but he was supposed to be on line 1, and he gets power play 2, and they put him up as like kind of the trigger man, where they just kind of feed the puck to him and he can shoot, that's what we like.
Cheap too. Still really cheap.
Yeah, that's too cheap. What was it, like 5?
56.
Right? Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, I'll play that all day. That's like will be my like cash consideration pool. Because sometimes when I'm just like bullish on an offense, I'll take like in my cash last night I had I think Petrie and Gallagher, and I was just on the wrong side. Apparently I needed to stack the Montreal penalty kill, but I was like, well, I get the most of the offense in this favorable spot, so that's how I'm going to do it. And I like these guys.
This is where I don't get DraftKings though. I mean, at the start of the series, he was 5,700, put up 28 DK points in the 2 games, and is now at 5,600. Like he's down $100 from the series after putting up his two good games. It's ridiculous.
It's insane. But like I think they're getting the bottom end tighter right now though, because like we were in the first like week, we have been starting line 1 players at min price that we shouldn't, and that's just because they were priced like Hornquist a couple nights ago he was min price playing on line 1 power play 1 with Florida. You're like, really? Okay, we'll block. And he shouldn't be, but I mean, I don't know if that's just because he came from a different place or whatever. Like, I can't believe Dadonov is still. What did we say Dadonov was?
3,100.
That's insane. Why? Like, I don't get that. That stuff annoys me when you just give like the free square to people like that.
I just think it's because he hasn't done a ton yet with this. Like, he's a good player. We all know that. The points will come. He just hasn't done anything yet this year. And he, to DraftKings credit, they priced him up over the last 3 games. But I mean, 3,100 line 1 player, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Ottawa's another team, perfect example, right? Like, they brought in a bunch of new players, no training camp, right? So these guys are basically learning how to play with each other on the fly, right? Their entire second line was Stepan Stützle and Dadonov. None of them played together before. So this is basically training camp that they're going through, right? So they're eventually hope they're going to get there. I mean, they're going to start to mesh. Hopefully, as if you're the Sens, that's the plan, right? That's what you want.
Well, it's just like learning where players go. I mean, like those teams with great chemistry, they played together. Like Boston won. They have probably more chemistry than anybody. Like Bergeron doesn't have to be looking in. He knows where Pasta is. I mean, just like stuff like that you can't teach. Like, you have to do that from being on the ice together.
Yeah.
And that's where you miss in training.
The team, and you said it perfectly. The teams are learning what they have and where's the best place to put everybody. And as we go, I mean, hey, we're gonna get these cheap guys at an explosion night, and then the DK will double their price the next night, right? Like, I mean, that's how DK is. That's how it's gonna work, right?
Just want to make sure we're keeping an eye on Line A, who we know is not playing, but when he comes back, if DK keeps his price down, that's going to be a real value comes back too.
We might cash line up the one night he was here. But if I'm playing this game, just to be contrarian, I'm either taking Helly or I'm going to take the Ottawa side. So, I mean, that will be my leverage play off of it. Either I'm stacking Ottawa like crazy, or I'm putting Hellebuck in if I don't have Ottawa players. That's how I would play leverage on it. Because Hellebuck has the talent to shut anybody down, and he's going to see volume. Winnipeg allows shots. They do. So, I mean, yeah, Hellebuck has a good volume play tomorrow.
That's the
great play last night.
Yeah, Hellebuck can stop Ottawa. Murray isn't Hellebuck, so even if Winnipeg's probably still popping 3, 4, 5 goals, whereas Hellebuck will hold Ottawa to 1 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming now I get the call tomorrow. I would assume he got the day off.
Are we probably looking at Halak for goal tomorrow in net? Is that probably where we're going to head for a first look? Again, I know it's just a first look, and we don't know goalies until they get confirmed. But they did say that Halak's going to play Boston, and if we're generally going to try to fade this game, or are we going to avoid Halak because I know we're going to have Provorov most likely in our cash lineup? Are we going to go somewhere else for goal? And again, just won't hold you to it, buddy. I just want to kind of see where your head's at on goal.
I'll probably go Halak myself. I would imagine I'll probably end up there. I just can't pay up for goalie. I hate doing it. Hellebuck. I mean, he could throw a shutout. He could throw a shutout up, and because of Winnipeg's defense is so bad, Ottawa could put 35 on him. So I mean, Hellebuck. I mean, I'm not playing Binnington at 84. There's no chance of that. I'm not touching any goalie from Montreal, Vancouver. I'm not playing Carey Price. I don't care. I'm probably going to go Halak and then probably maybe Hellebuck, depending on how the build goes.
What about whoever starts in goal for LA? I'll assume Jonathan Quick at the moment, but or St. Louis just not going to put up enough shots to make it matter.
I think that's the problem with LA. I think that's the problem with Vancouver. Maybe I watched Vancouver; they can't even connect passes right now. They had 10 shots through 2 periods, and they had 6 power plays. That's awful. That's good. That's my reason not to play Price tomorrow. I don't see there's any shot he's seeing more than 25 shots, or it's very limited. So, and I think St. Louis is. They don't really pepper goalies. I think there's some risk there, and I think LA kind of defends well. So I'm probably
that transition.
St. Louis isn't putting up 35. No, there's no chance.
No. I do think that transitions us nicely into some of our cash game strategy, because I think a lot of times people want to take a look at their cash games, and for goalie, they want to find a goalie that's going to get the shutout and get the win. Shutouts are pretty in the NHL. And wins are great, but volume is the key. And so it's our fourth point down here at the bottom, but you want goalies who are going to face a lot of shots. Obviously you don't want to take a goalie who's going to, I don't have to give up 7 goals, but what you really don't want is a guy who's going to get 18 shots, give up 2 goals and win 3-2. That's not going to get you any points. You would rather face the guy who's going to get you 36 shots against, give up 3 or 4 goals, have a shot at a win. I just think that's where we're looking, right? That's more we want to do. I'd be more inclined, I think, to play possibly the Vancouver goalie, whoever ends up starting in net, Holtby or Demko, versus a guy who's going to face 16 shots, right? Is that smart for cash game strategy?
I mean, I like it. I played Corpusalo against Tampa Bay. He lost, but he gave up 3 goals. But he made 34 saves and ended up with 15 points. Right. So
one save away from the bonus.
Yeah. I actually, you know what? I just saw that, and I'm actually, I could have used that. I'm a little tilted actually right now. I didn't realize he was one save from the bonus. I got to tell you, that lineup was actually good. That's a little tilting actually to see that. I didn't realize it was one save from the bonus. God damn it. Jesus.
Right. Here, I'll make you feel better. Chad Henne. That doesn't help. That doesn't help you. Sean's gonna log out in a second.
Wow. Hostile. That's a hostile working.
But you forgot about your goal not getting the bonus. Look at me. I did my job. I'm a good friend.
Yeah, I forgot about that real quick. Thanks.
So when we're looking at this, moving away from me getting shot here, let's take a look. Other cash game strategies you see on the screen, guys. Is there a particular strategy that we're looking at in cash that you think is more important than another one that's sitting on there? Hook, from this list or from your own mind, is there a particular cash game strategy that you like to follow that you think is working so far this year that we can help our viewers and our members with?
Well, first off, we want to talk like grand scheme, like how I register, or do you thinking more like just on player analysis? What are you thinking?
Anything that's going to help with cash. I know before we went on the air here, you were talking about how you like to manage your percentage of money towards, what amount of cash games you're playing versus triple ups versus GPPs. And to me, that's a great thing to talk about with cash game strategy instead of build. How are we managing that bankroll? So I'd love to hear your strategy on that.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, when I start my day, like I knew, or actually, I'll go a week ago when we started NHL. Like I said, I'm going to play $1,000 as my bankroll for NHL this season, or for the cash games. I keep my cash and GPP bankrolls entirely separate, easier for me to track. And when I said that, I was going to play 10% every day. So we'll just use the round number of 100. And from that, I play 60% of my contests in head-to-heads, 35% in double-up contests, and then 5% in triple-ups. The reason I play head-to-heads is I know hockey is an extremely variant sport, and there will be days I lose. But this way, like last night, I didn't have a double-up scoring lineup, but I still only lost. I played, I think, because my bankroll's grown since then. Because it goes. I mean, obviously, my ROI has been great so far, but I think I played $120. I only lost like $65 because of my head-to-heads. Like if I play, my theory is the more head-to-head people I play, I'm probably gonna play more bad people, and so I want to play as many bad people as possible. So like that's why I look for when I'm playing a head-to-head. So I just set up. I create 50 contests in the morning or however many I want. I set them up where I can. It's very important if you're doing it on DK. Is you want to limit your opponents to 1 or 2. You don't want a pro coming in and scooping 50 of you if they've seen how you build lineups poorly, or just in general someone maybe better than you. This way I get like a better leverage. Like I don't like the ups and downs of having maybe if I lose 3 days in a row and it really hurting my bankroll or whatnot, because I want to have the same ammunition or a percentage of it, because like bankroll and return on investment are 2 different things. Like I said, I started the year with 1,000, but like I put 700 plus already in play, because every day, if I say I want 10%, 15%, it's not to make 100 off the whole season off my bankroll. It's I want to make 10% every day, and it keeps growing. And I'm going to actually probably end up putting in close to 10 grand if you count the slates over the course of the season. So if I'm looking for 1,000 to 1,500, that's great profit for a season. I'll take that. That won't bother me at all. And by playing double ups, when I get to that place, they don't have a lot of large field double ups like we saw in NFL. So I look for the contest. I start at the smaller amount. Again, I think it's just there's lesser quality players and lower dollars, and I want as many opponents as possible. So like generally 62 people and up, I keep registering throughout the day. The smaller the contest, the more variance and the number changes you'll get in them. Like I'll see a range on like the 23-man contest be 15 points on the cash level, whereas the higher you get, generally the lower it goes down with the amount of people. Because again, there's more people who aren't good at this than are good at it.
I'm on mute. No, I'm not on mute. I found since you kind of mentioned the head-to-head thing, I've started playing more head-to-heads, and it has helped quite a bit. I'm hitting those a lot more often than I'm hitting my the cash games pretty regularly too. But they're a lot easier. Those wins tend to be a lot easier. We were just talking today how one of the head-to-heads I had playing a guy who was playing Yari in net, who I would never have used in net today. I mean, the Rangers, Pittsburgh's been terrible. The Rangers are, not terrible offensively. And so I saw that and I was like licking my chops. I was like, heck yeah, and it's like, that's the kind of quality we're getting, and I find that people playing head to head don't use really strong head to head, really strong double up strategy. They're putting GPP lineups in there. They're stacking a line. I was playing a guy the other day. They had 4 guys from the same team in cash, and that team did not do well. And that was a dead cash lineup pretty quickly. And that's not to knock those guys playing it, more power to them. But you're absolutely right. The quality of player you're going to find in those lower priced cash games, head-to-head games, you're probably better off playing $100, $1 head-to-heads than you are playing a single $100 double up. No, you might not win the full $100. You might lose a few, but you're not going to. The odds of you losing that full $100 in a slate is very rare too. So I think that's great, and I've been doing it, and it's truth be told, it's been awesome. It's been a great strategy, and it's fun to see some of those lineups people put together in a single, head-to-head.
Well, I even get to the point where I started tracking some of the guys I played and seen success against, and I try and pick up their contests in the morning. So that's another level if you have time. But a lot of people chase the GPP lineups by throwing it in a head-to-head. So it'll be nice they have a ceiling score and beat me, and that's fine. But over the course of the season, I will take my cash lineup against most people's GP because my cash lineup's probably going to come in around the GPP cash line anyway, is what I view it as. So I'll take it heads up against your GPP lineup every night. I just will. I mean, I feel like mine has a nice variety of safety and upside already involved to it. That you're just going, well, I need Montreal 1 to go nuts, but they're playing Vancouver, so they should. But yeah, I have no fear taking on those.
Well, think about that yesterday, though. If you're playing Montreal 1 yesterday, they didn't quite go nuts, even though the team had 7 goals. And if you spread the love a little, if you only had Suzuki, like I had just Suzuki in my cash lineup, yeah, he didn't have the world's greatest game, but he did enough to get me across that cash line with the other players I was using. So it just makes more sense to spread that variance. I think that's pretty good. Sean, what is a cash game build strategy that you like? It can be one of those that's on the screen, or it could be one that you just tend to run with. What's one of your best piece of advice for cash game builds?
Yeah, I mean, you want to look at those guys who especially when I play cash for my on defense, like for my defenders, I look for the guys who do multiple things. Like Pietrangelo, right? Like he's on the power play, he shoots, he blocks shots, and he plays 27 minutes a game, right? You want to find those guys there, right? You want to find your value guys. You want to find, do a little digging. You want to find the value guys who are going to be on a power play 1. There might be $3,500, right? So you can go cheap at winger, right? If you're going to pay up on your defense, right? Like the Yossi's and Petrangelos and Brett Burns of the world, come at a cost. So you got to find those guys that will get you the 5, 6, 7, 8 points, 2x, at $3,500 or $3K. And
kind of like Adam Larson, perhaps.
And Adam Larson, right? The guy blocks a ton of shots. He'll get you the shot bonus every night, and you'll take that and move on because that allows you to get Matthews or McKinnon, those guys in there, right? You just don't want to hamstring yourself in cash, right? Like you mentioned, we don't stack in cash. I will not play more than 2 guys in cash. I will play 2 guys together. I'll play a Bankster, a McKinnon, McCarr, depending on, and even that's depending on matchup, right? Like I won't go out of my way to play the 2 guys, but if it makes sense, like Colorado's up against Anaheim tonight. Now they're playing 3 and 4 back to back, yada yada. But McKinnon, McCarr, and cash, I wouldn't hate that.
But like today, you talked about for Vegas, you're playing Pietrangelo and Tuck in cash today, right? Because the pricing worked out, and Tuck's getting that power play 1 time, and you already talked about how great Pietrangelo.
$4,100 and he's on power play 1. I mean, and he's an offensive player. Like he's a third liner, but he shoots. He's got offensive abilities, and he's on power play 1. So him and Pietrangelo today, no problem. And I've done that a few times.
Eric Lindros upside. I'll just say it again. I said it on the last live stream. I'll say it. Eric Lindros upside.
By the way, if you're just joining us,
I'm a homer. By the way, a bit of a homer.
If you didn't notice. Yeah, I mean, it's just basically you want to build that floor in cash, right? Like you'd want to I mean, we write our articles. I mean, I dive into some serious, like we dive headlong into stats, right? We ice time and ice matchups, and we get right in there. But if you, even if you don't have time for that, you want to try it yourself. Look at the game logs. If you have a guy that's like Tyler Lockett, did we ever play Tyler Lockett in cash? No, we didn't play Tyler Lockett in cash because Tyler Lockett has a game of 45 points, and then next week he comes out and has 3. Those are the guys you got to avoid, and the DK logs are perfect for that.
Because what you see there too, though, for those who don't want to do the math on that, if you just look at the game average, you see 24 points per game. You feel great, right? 48 points in 2 games, but it was 45 and 3. And then over the course of the season, he's at almost 20 points per game, but he had 3 big games and a bunch of stinkers, but those big games changed the average. Meanwhile, you have a more consistent player who's getting you, that's why Keenan Allen was a guy we loved, because he was getting you 18 to 20 points per week. He didn't have the boom games the same way that Tyler Lockett did, but he was far more consistent, hence the cash game play. Back to hockey, how does that going to work for you in hockey?
Well, same idea, right? Like Pietrangelo, like if you look at AP's game logs, right? Like you bring it up, you do this 10 game log, right? Forget the average. 19.5, 12.7, 12.7, 14.9. That's a great floor. Give me that floor all day long, right? Alex Tuck, $4,100. But look at it, right? He's a little boomer bust. He's got 28, 3, 2, and 12, but he's $4,100. So he's not going to kill you if he goes for 3 or 4 points. He's not going to kill you. You don't want the guy that's priced at $6,500 to get you 3 or 4 points. Then you're probably dead. Right, look
at Makar. If you have Makar's stats in front of you, I don't have those in front of me. If you look at Cale Makar, I mean, he's got a couple of games I think in the 20s and a couple of games in the 3s. Like he's been like Tyler Lockett this year, whereas Pietrangelo has been more like Keenan Allen, where he's got those consistent games without the big explosion game that Makar's had. And I think that's why we've got Pietrangelo was in the cash core today, and Makar I don't think was even in the pool. And I think he might have been in the pool, but he wasn't a core play, and that's why we want that consistent play.
And that's what you want. You want the guys that are gonna, are they gonna bust? Of course they're gonna bust. There's gonna be a game where AP doesn't do anything, and he's in it, whatever. But he's out of 10 games, it's gonna happen once, maybe twice, right? And that's what you want. That's the floor you need, because you don't have to finish first. You're not trying to finish first.
That's the thing. You're not trying to finish first. Now, that doesn't mean you don't throw your cash game lineup into a GPP. You always do that. It's one of the saddest things I see when one of our members is like, "Oh my goodness, here's my cash game lineup. Didn't throw it in a GPP." It's like always, even if it's $1 GPP, just throw it in there so at least you get some return if your lineup hits the nuts. Like that's what we need to take a look at. All right, I do want to go over to some early season trends that we've noticed, and you can see them on the screen. We talked about it earlier in the show. Penguins, they're giving up a lot of goals. They got 3 already given up in the second period here tonight. And they're still a public team. People think the Penguins are the Penguins, and they might be able to put up points, but put up goals, but they're not stopping goals. Their back end is pretty awful this year. Chicago's bad. We talked about ownership on West Coast teams. Not at West Coast teams necessarily, but West Coast games and really more late start games, because you've got the Western Conference, you've got Montreal, Vancouver tomorrow, but that's a 4 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern game, 4 p.m. Pacific game. I don't think the ownership will be particularly low on that game, but if that game were in Vancouver, were a later start game, a 10 o'clock start on the East Coast, that's going to just have a lower ownership. We've seen that happening all year. So we want to check those games that are later starts, and those tend to be on the teams located on the screen: Anaheim, Arizona, Colorado, and you can see the rest. I don't have to read for you. We haven't gotten to the point where we've used defenders against Florida too much yet. I think they've played one game so far, or 2 games, but the defenders actually did okay. Murphy and Keith and Boquist for Chicago all did really well against them. And then we talked about it a lot during this show. DraftKings is not adjusting their pricing enough, and we need to take advantage of things like this. A guy like Dadonov at $3,100 just doesn't make sense. And so we want to take a look at the guys whose prices aren't adjusting quick enough and jump on that. The same thing for Eilers. I mean, you've just got guys who they're not adapting, and we want to everywhere we can get value for our dollar, we want to do that. Are there any other early season trends that aren't on the list, guys, that you have noticed? I'll throw it to Sean first, and then let Hook follow with any trends he may have noticed so far for this year.
I mean, the one thing we got to be cognizant of the fact is that the schedule, like you have, like Vancouver and Montreal are playing 3 straight games. Vegas and Arizona are playing 4 straight games. This has never happened ever in NHL history. So it's almost like a playoff series, right? So you almost have that, right? Teams start to hate each other. It's early in the season now, but I've looked through the schedule and this happens throughout the year. Once we get into those, the when playoff seedings and stuff come around, you want to watch that, right? Like teams are playing back to back. The price, like, they play 2 days in a row, right? The DK is not going to adjust the pricing properly for the second game, right? Because they can't. They can't wait for the first game to end to adjust for the second game. These are things we can take advantage of. We can find value plays. We can find guys that are unowned or underpriced. Sorry. And just keep an eye on that, right? Like Vancouver, Montreal. I mean, Vancouver, Montreal, I think is going to be an anomaly on these like 3 or 4 games in a row. Because I expect most of them to be like a playoff type atmosphere. 7-3 and 6-5 is not a playoff type atmosphere. So I mean, just you got to really pay attention to matchups. And the good thing about it is they play each other 9 or 10 times, 8, 9, 10 times. You can go back to the games earlier in the year and see matchups. We can discover matchups, right? Who played against who, home ice and away, right? Because last change, right? That's key, right? A lot of people don't factor that into their research as well, right? Like tonight I didn't play Zibanejad, Kreider, and Buch. I think it's Buchnevich. I think who's I can't remember. It escapes me now. Who's on the top line? I faded them because they're going to go up against Sid, and Sid's probably one of the best.
There's Ryan Strome, right?
Well, no, Ryan Strome's on the second line. He's second line with Panarin, and I think
Laugh was on. Laugh has been moved up to the first line.
Laugh on the first, yeah. So I faded the first line because they're going to face Sid. They were going to face Sid a lot, right? So these are the kind of things you got to pay attention to. I don't want anybody against Sid, right? I don't play anybody who's going to face Sid, right? Sid's one of the best defensive forwards in the league, and people don't really understand that about him. But he competes the full length of the ice, and those are little things you can that you can keep an eye on, and you'll be able to get it because teams are going to play each other, like I said, 8 or 9 times. So we can find these little trends and take advantage of them as the season goes on.
Any trends you've noticed, Hook, this year that we haven't mentioned yet?
Things I've noticed, because like kind of just to go more onto what Sean was saying, like we have everyone playing back to back, right? So like I kind of viewed that like the first game is more of like a direct reflection of like kind of how teams played in 2019-20, right? And then like the second game, you're treating it like a playoff where you make adjustments because you're not running the same game, got your butt kicked the first night again. Like you're not going to do it. Like you're going to adjust. You're not just going to. I would think you're not going to assume my style of play wins no matter what. So I kind of noticed these second nights. It feels like the games have more of a variety of range of outcomes. To me, I've kind of been off them a little bit more the second night. I kind of like the first time teams play each other in the given series. I've noted it feels like the scoring has gone down as a whole, DK, from like the first 2 or 3, 4 days of the cash lines. Like we've been hitting 100 again, which is good. I mean, that also comes with lesser value. Pricing tightens, naturally the scoring will come down because it'll be harder to find those guys. Yeah, I mean, I think Sean, it's a weird schedule this year. Like normally, like it's tough really to put in a sample size like when we get through 10 games right now because you've only played 3 teams. Like I know Chicago's bad. If you played Chicago 3 games, like that's going to heavily weight how good of an offense we think you are or not, because they're going to give up goals. Now I still think Florida's bad. They're going to give up a lot of goals. Columbus is going to play a lot of close games, but I think Torts is going to get fired. Yeah, I mean, the trends are it's tougher to identify them right now because we're seeing such a limited variety in the schedule, which I hate. I hate it. I like breaking down new matchups. It's not fun to do the same thing over and over again. Like I don't like doing playoff DFS really in any sport actually because I just don't like doing the same thing 3 days in a row. So like this schedule kind of annoys me.
Yeah. One thing Sean. Sorry, is you got to have treat it like poker. You need to have a short-term memory, right? Yeah. You need to recency bias is going to be huge, even more so this year, right? Like tomorrow, everyone's going to chase I'm telling you, Toffoli's ownership tomorrow. this will tell us everything we need to know about how this season is going to go and who's chasing and who's doing what, right? You need to have that short-term memory and forget about it, right? Like last night at Colorado lost 4-2 to LA. So, I mean, Colorado's different, but like, you get what I'm saying, right? Like Hook said, right? Inflated stats, right? Montreal's lighting up Vancouver. So Montreal rolls into, say Calgary, goes back into Calgary or something, and they're not going to light up Calgary because Calgary's a better team, right? So I mean, you just got to keep that in mind, right? Just have a short-term memory. Slate's done, forget it. Next slate's a fresh slate. Throw the recency bias out the window and build from scratch.
Yeah, that's actually the number one leverage.
Sorry.
Oh, that's actually the number one way to leverage Montreal tomorrow. Either just fade Toffoli because he'll be stupid owned. I mean, he scored 2 goals on the penalty kill, or they had 2 points that way. That's not how you ever score in hockey. That was so random of an event. It shouldn't have happened. So just play lines that aren't correlated to Toffoli. Just do it. Just do that tomorrow and skip Toffoli. And you'll be different than everybody else and hope he fails.
That sounds about right. The other thing that I would bring up is know what site you're playing on and know the rules. DraftKings is what we focus on mostly because it's the most popular site. And they have bonuses for things like shots and block shots and saves and, different scoring trends. Whereas FanDuel doesn't have that. Or if you play on Yahoo, they do plus minus, which really throws a wrench in a lot of things. So, and some sites favor those peripheral stats more. And whereas FanDuel, really favors the goals and assists a lot more. So you're going to want to look for those, and the volume might not be so as important because you're not shooting for that bonus. You want more highly efficient shots and things of that nature. So I think it's really important to keep an eye on the site that you're playing on and really understand the scoring. And of course, if you're with us at Bankster, come into our Slack chat and we will help you work through that. Speaking of, if you're interested in joining BanksterDFS.com, $3.99 a week. Get you access to everything, all of our articles, player pool, Slack chat. You see all the sports that we're covering, and they're all heading to being in session or in session currently. You can find us on YouTube. Just look at my name, Doug Shane, like, share, subscribe, click the notification icon. We will, it'll let you know when we're going live or when we post new videos. We should be going live pretty much every Friday at 7:30 Eastern to talk about the Saturday slate, talk about any trends we're seeing or anything relevant with the NHL slate. The goal is to keep it under an hour, but we like hockey, so we talk. And I just like talking in general. So for me, that's real tough. Other things you might want to look forward to heading over in the next few weeks. I do think I'm going to try next week to talk some of the team to doing a Royal Rumble live cast to talk about that because that's good for betting purposes. A lot of people like to bet on the Royal Rumble. Hook is laughing at me, which is fine. The week after, I'm going to try to get our NFL team together to do a Super Bowl live stream. So we'll see what we can do about that. No times yet for those, but we'll figure it out and let you know. But again, if you click that notification icon, it will let you know when we're going to go live for those things. And of course, if you miss a live stream, you can just go to Bankster's YouTube page, my page, Doug Shane, and you can find all of our old videos there now and all the videos that we record. And you can find it there. So in saying that, have a wonderful tomorrow. Have a great Saturday NHL DFS weekend. For Josh Hook at Hook Monster, for Sean Goodwin at Big Number 55. I am Doug Shane at Bankster17. Find us at banksterdfs.com. Have a wonderful evening, and we hope you enjoyed Bankster DFS NHL Power Play Live